It's often said that you should never meet your heroes as they'll surely disappoint, but today I suspect that's not going to be the case. It's my turn to meet a hero, a legend amongst legends, the McLaren F1. And you're joining me for this first ever drive in one of the most iconic cars of all time. We're at Selected Car Collection in Denmark, who have completely lost their marbles and kindly invited me to experience Chassis 11R, an F1 GTR with the most remarkable story. After racing at the 24 Hours of Le Mans, you won't believe what happened next as Mercedes acquired it in secrecy to use for developing their competitor car before it was then one of very few, if not the only, to be converted for road use by the McLaren factory. But more on that story later. I can't believe I'm saying this. Hi guys, I'm Shmi. Hello and welcome back to the channel, and welcome to my first drive in a McLaren F1. Should you meet your heroes? Let's find out. As you can probably imagine, I'm currently bursting with excitement, but before we get this out on the road, let me give you a quick 60-second introduction to the McLaren F1. Now, I'm sure, unless you've been living under a rock, you know the famous stories behind this car. The fastest car in the world at one point in the 90s, also the car that famously, in 1995, McLaren drove from Woking to France and were victorious at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. It's from the creative mind of Gordon Murray. What a guy he is. But I want to show you around this particular one before we get into the story of it. Powered by BMW's 6.1-litre naturally aspirated V12. For the race car, it's actually detuned from the road car down to a mere 600 horsepower, but weight also comes down from 1,100 kilos in the road car to only 940 kilos. Rear-driven, 6-speed manual, and of course, one of the most famous things about the F1, the central seating position. For so many people, this was a poster car. It's always been an icon. Come and take a look inside though, pop open the doors, because without the F1, we wouldn't have McLaren as they are today making road supercars. This was their first supercar that they released. The central seating position, a single passenger seat in the GTR with the right-hand side taken up with all of your racing controls. And this car, as I mentioned, having been to the McLaren factory to actually have the conversion done back in 2002. Now, I first got lucky to experience a passenger ride in F1 back in 2011. This week, in fact, 13 years ago. Back in 2016, again, in the same week, I got to ride in one out on track. And at that point in time, this is what I said. It is the ultimate car. It's my dream to maybe one day get an opportunity to drive one. But even experiencing it now from the passenger seat is going to be epic, be mega. And okay, too excited, words aren't even coming out right now. Before we get that car started, I'm taking a seat and steadying myself for a moment. This is a big deal, driving an F1. Back in the early days of the Shmi on 50 channel, I remember spotting the Harrods liveried F1 GTR driving in central London when I was in my Audi S5. Fast forward, and over the years, I've actually regularly seen the Lark livery GTR at many different events down at Goodwood. I rode in Flemke's F1 road car, and that was an experience that I think had a big role to play in leading us through to today, to keeping this enthusiasm for these kinds of cars. A few years later, at Circuit Navarra in Spain, when I hopped on board another F1 for a ride, that experience again cemented this car as one of my favourites in the entire world. And here we are today, another number of years on, nearly 15 years of Shmi 150, and this is the day, and that's the car. Should we get ready for this? Chassis 11R. This car and the amazing story behind it. It's been raced, it's been owned by a competitor, it's been damaged, and it's kind of had a one-off rebuild along the way as well by McLaren. But it's a 1996 F1 GTR. They made 28 GTRs in total, 18 are like this, the shorter tails, the others are the longer tails. It raced in the 96 championship, and in that year, in fact, it came second on 3 different occasions. But following the end of the racing series, that's when Mercedes-Benz covertly acquired the car to use as their development mule for the upcoming CLK GTR. The reason they chose an F1 was for its carbon fiber monocoque, the fact that it had absolute performance, and that it could house a 6-litre or so V12 engine, something they had in their portfolio to use in their upcoming competitor. Fast forward, and in 1997, they went to Jarama, the circuit in Spain, because the previous year, the F1 GTRs had set incredible times, and they discovered that their prototype could go 2 seconds faster on a 1.5-minute lap. A very impressive feat. However, over a few days, unfortunately, the car did get involved in an accident. Ben Schneider was at the wheel, DTM champion, and of course, the man who would go on to drive the CLK GTRs as well. But fast forward from there, it then went to Woking in England, back to McLaren, where in the years ahead, it underwent a full rebuild, not as a CLK GTR, but as the F1 GTR, like you see today. It's worn a number of different liveries. It was sold by Sotheby's in 2000. In 2002, as I said, it went through the road conversion to make it possible to go and drive it on the road by McLaren, supported by Lansante. And then, of course, you join us 2 decades or so later, where the car now resides here in Denmark at the Selected Car Collection. But I tell you what, enough talk. I think it's time we get it out and go drive an F1 GTR. I can't believe this is happening, but let's do it. Right, sinking in. Here I am, sat center stage in the F1. So, pull my seat forwards a touch, flick the switch here for power. Okay, give it a second. Then we're going to turn the key, turn on the ignition. All right, get ready, press the magic button. Let's start it. I can feel it literally shaking with excitement. Guys and girls, this is a moment I have dreamt about for many years. I am sat, belted in to a McLaren F1, and I'm about to go for a drive. The sun is out, it could not be better. I haven't even moved and I'm virtually in tears of excitement. In a moment, off we go. This is the moment. Belted in. McLaren F1 in the central seating position. No throttle needed, just lift the clutch. A bit like a Carrera GT. Feels like it wants to be driven. We're gonna head out to some nice country roads. The movement on the throttle pedal is minuscule. This is the raw, uncut first experience of an F1. This is the first time I've ever driven one. This is like endgame, acutely aware of the incredible value. But you can't let that get to you, because as soon as you start thinking about that too much, that's when you get distracted. Sitting right in the center. It's actually really quite easy to drive. Very forgiving, very smooth. I don't know what to say. Race brakes of course. Out to the road we go. Oh, sitting in the middle feels special. The sound. I tell you what, we're going 15 kilometers an hour under the limit, and I feel like I'm driving at Mach 10. It's so raw, the vibrations through the cabin from behind me. That BMW power plant, they were the only ones crazy enough to take on this job for McLaren. I tell you some of the surprising things. You've got electric door mirrors in here. I wouldn't have expected that. Of course, the AC is, well, outside air being blown in. It's sunny, it's beautiful today, but thankfully it's not too hot. 30 kilometers an hour feels like I'm going about 100. The steering is so light and nimble. It's so agile, and the way that revs with a downshift. This is a dream of all dreams. It's super light, it's actually crazy, it feels so connected, as you would imagine, but there's no substantial weight to it. Taking it slow for the moment. My goodness! What is this? How am I driving an F1? The car for sure, The 250 GTO is more valuable, the Bugatti Atlantic is more valuable. But for myself and so many people of my age, being a kid playing games, this was the best car you could have. If you had an F1, that was the ultimate. Never did I think that I might one day be doing this on these kinds of roads. About 4,000 RPM is already intoxicating. Of course, this is low to the ground, but with such short overhangs, it's actually not that bad at the front. Obviously, it's a race car. We don't have lift systems or anything like that. The seating position and driving in the very center of the car becomes very normal very quickly as we go through the trees. I am completely beside myself. When it's a car like this, you have to respect it so much. There's no funny business. Just savoring the moment, enjoying the opportunity. Look at this. This is absolutely extraordinary. I don't think many people on the road would know what this is, how special this is. A little bit worried about the lip here, but I think we can get around it. Watch the turning radius. Can we do it? Can we do it? Yes, no problem. Just listen to that going up through the rev range. I tell you what, 600 horsepower in something as light as this is a big number. That downshift, the way it revs and flips into the gear down. I'm amazed at how comfortable the car feels. I'm amazed at how quickly I've become very accustomed to driving it. I thought it would be far more intimidating. And there's a lot of space in here, more than in the T50 or a Speedtail. That's one of the crazy things. It's also very small. This is often said about the F1s, but its footprint is tiny. It doesn't feel like a big car at all. Obviously we have some moments with other vehicles coming towards, but there's no part of this where I'm panicking, at least not at this stage. I feel very, very relaxed driving something of great value. Open road ahead! The sound is absolutely unreal. The feeling inside. That is my favourite, the blip, third down to second. On the roads like this though, just in case something's coming towards us, there's a new level of, I'm going to say, respect for the car and respect for driving it. I cannot believe I've been entrusted with this. I've been lucky to drive some unbelievable cars over the years, but this is easily the most valuable compared to the likes of the HP Barchetta, many different Koenigsegg's, classic Ferraris that I've driven. As well. I have shivers running through my body. What on earth? How is this a thing? How am I here right now? This is a special day. This is one for the history books. From chasing an F1 GTR around the streets of London to bringing you along with me, driving this car today. I don't know how to say thank you enough to everybody for this opportunity and to you guys for supporting this journey up to this point. I don't think I can ever beat this. I don't think it can ever be beaten. Well, I clamber back out and gather some thoughts about this. I want to show you some things actually, because one of the really fun elements about this is you had to carry stuff on you in Le Mans. You know, it was about GT racing, right? If you go back to the days, they used to have luggage in the GT40s and the likes. But inside here, come and take a look at this. There is fitted a toolbox down here, and inside the toolbox is a little screwdriver and your center lock cap. And the reason I pull this out is because to open up the engine bay, you literally give these a little half turn on each side. One there, come around and do this side. And then of course, this simply lifts up to reveal that power plant. And one of the immense things is all of the gold heat shielding underneath. Obviously that's very famous, especially when this panel's pulled off. The carbon bodywork, all of the carbon internals, and the view that you have. And the gold was used for its better heat reflective properties to keep it cooler in the engine bay because of the amount of power that BMW S70/2 engine is pumping out. It's just a work of art to look at. I just didn't expect the car to be usable in the way that it just has been. It's genuinely surprised me. And of course we can close this back down. I mean, even under here, all of the gold. Look at that, it's so nice. It's remarkable. This was so far ahead of its time in the 90s. So far ahead. Back on the road, back in paradise. Just even when you drive this fairly gently, that's what's so crazy about it to me. It is absolutely unreal. Even the guys there pulling out their camera phones. Because why would you not, when it's a McLaren F1, if you know anything about cars, you know that this is the Big Mac, the king of them all. Just a wild sensation. I'm so delicate and careful with it. It's actually crazy how fast it feels like you're going even when you're not. I never want to get out. I can drive this and keep driving this. This is the absolute king of cars. There's more than enough torque to keep it in gear. Oh, big truck, big truck, big truck. Careful, please. That's not what you want when you go around a corner in a car like this. Beaming from ear to ear. Cheeks aching. A smile that will never leave my face. Why would it? It never needs to. This is it. This is perfection in a car. This is the best of the best. Nothing can ever beat it. To imagine racing around the Circuit de la Salle, down the Mulsanne Straight, in this car in 1996. This one. This did it. To then be Bernd Schneider, a man who I know very well from the videos over the years, driving it in its CLK GTR bodywork at Circuit Jarama. history of it, what it represents, what it means, the impact it's had on racing, on cars, on McLaren the brand, the new McLaren Automotive and their supercars, as we know, launching the 12C after the collaboration with Mercedes-Benz for the SLR McLaren. This was at a time when they were competitors. They've worked together, the two brands that have this very unusual relationship with one another. This is the pinnacle of modern classic. Of course, you can go back to the 60s and the 250 GTO and cars like that. But for my lifetime, this is the best car in the world. Is there any question whether it's the best car in the world? The answer to that, absolutely not. Not a shadow of a doubt. Can anything beat it? I don't know. Does it matter? Not really. There are only 106 of these. There will never be more. If one gets written off for some reason, considering the value of the chassis flag, you build it again. They're never going to die. It is absolute paradise. And that's why the confidence of the braking as well. Another big truck. I'm having good luck with those today. Some building works going on. Can we get up here without the front catching? Yeah, we're good. And then that just means empty road. I present to you the greatest experience that can be had on four wheels. Ladies and gentlemen, the McLaren F1. I have met my hero. It has been every bit as epic as I hoped it was going to be. This is the greatest car that has ever been made. This is absolute perfection when it comes to the experience, the excitement, the history, the story, what it achieved at Le Mans, the fastest car in the world, the materials, the most expensive car in the world at the time, one of the most expensive cars in the world now as well, and to drive it, to flow through these roads, to be able to live and feel as one with this car, to literally feel every single bit of this engine tingling through my body is the most amazing of experiences. It is the most incredible feeling. So I have met my hero, I have loved my hero, it was worth every single bit of it, and I can't thank Selected Car Collection enough, because this has been absolutely game-changing, life-defining, career-defining, to drive the F1, to be here on these kinds of roads, amazing roads, to push on with it, to literally feel at one with it. This is the McLaren F1, this is automotive heaven, this is the best of the best. What a day, what a drive, what an experience. I'm going to sit down, tears in my eyes. What a time. I just can't believe it. Absolutely mind-boggling. Met the hero. I was nervous, I was anxious. It has not disappointed. It has been the stuff of dreams. We're arriving back towards where we started, and of course it's been a slightly more gentle drive back. A bit of time to think, really, a bit of time to process what I've just experienced. It's going to take me a long time to really come to terms with it. I think in the back of my mind for many years it's been almost that driving a McLaren F1 is almost the end, because it literally can't be beaten. There's nothing that could sit above this, and it's everything that I hoped it was going to be. Perhaps more approachable than I thought, you know, easier to drive than I thought, but not any bit. You know, when you set your expectations so high, it's hard to match that. In nowhere at all did it fall short. No way in the slightest. This has been absolutely unreal. As we arrive back at Selected Car Collection, part of the Selected Car group, and I just don't know what to say. I don't think I have any more words for this. Something you wouldn't necessarily think about. There's an extraordinary sense of relief to be back here safely in one piece. Done. My drive in the McLaren F1 GTR. The stuff of dreams, literally. What a day. There isn't really a whole lot more to add to this. Tiff Needell, one of my favourite journalists I've always looked up to, when he reviewed the F1, he said, it's the greatest car in the world, and I don't think anything will ever beat it. I think he was right. 3 decades on, and the F1 is the ultimate in driving perfection. For sure, there are race cars that are faster. There are road hypercars that are faster, Bugattis, Koenigseggs. But when it comes to the connection that you have with a car and the story of that car, the rarity of that car, you can't beat the F1. I've always spent ages reading through the F1s on our platform, Exclusive Car Registry, learning about the 106 cars, the 28 GTRs as well. I've seen about half of them with my own eyes over the years, all the different events that I've been to, and kept tabs and tracked those, because if you're a car person, this is the ultimate. This is the top of the top, the king, the empire, the ruler of them all. And today, I've experienced it for the first time. I've driven an F1. I need to go and sit down and process this, because it's cliched, but it really is that good. It really is the top of the tree. There are a few cars I'm yet to experience, GMA, T50 and T33, a couple of others out there, you know, Gordon Murray, responsible for this, responsible for the new cars as well. But for today, that has been everything I hoped it would be. So a huge thank you goes to the entire team here at the Selected Car Collection, Selected Car Group, everything that they have done to make it possible to drive this today and to share it with you. And as always, a massive thanks to every single one of you who has been part of this journey. Never did I think, when I was filming that Harrods liveried GTR in London over a decade ago, that somehow down the line, I might be lucky enough to drive one of these things. And here we are. What a day. What a feeling. Adrenaline, excitement, overload. That's it for now though. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers.